Hi, I'm Bridget and thank you so much for joining me today for this super slow and stretchy yoga practice. And I know I've said it before, but this is one of my absolute favorite ways to practice yoga. This is the kind of class that I come back to all the time, and then sometimes I like to change it up with something a little more faster paced and a little bit more challenging, but this is my all-time favorite way to practice. So I hope that you enjoy it. We're just going to get started in a nice, comfortable seated position. So I've just got my ankles crossed. We're going to start to get nice and tall through the spine. So creating a nice long line from the top of the head all the way down to the tailbone, really lifting up through the spine, and then just bringing the palms to rest on the knees. Gently closing down the eyes as you start to connect with your breath here. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. We're going to try and keep this connection with the breath throughout our practice today. Seeing if you can make the breath deeper and longer. Inhale, filling the body with air. Exhale, feeling yourself become nice and grounded. Relaxing through the muscles. Just checking in with the body. Checking in with how you feel. Knowing that there are no right or wrong answers here, so no matter how you feel today, take a couple more rounds of breath here. Really just taking this time, this moment of stillness for yourself and really enjoying it. Knowing that there is nowhere else you need to be right now. And then just keeping the eyes closed, we're going to drop the right ear down towards the right shoulder. Stretching through the left side of the neck. If you'd like to make it a little bit deeper, you can just take that right hand and just pull the head to the side a little bit, really gently here. Breathing into the left side of the neck. And then bringing the head back to center, we'll take it to the other side. So drop the left ear down towards the left shoulder, really drawing those shoulders down. Feeling that nice stretch in the right side of the neck this time. You might like to take the left hand again, just gently drawing the head down a little bit further. Staying nice and gentle. And then slowly we'll bring the head back to center and blink the eyes open. Before we get started with our practice, we'll warm up the wrists a little bit here. Just taking some circles one way and the other. We're not going to be on our hands a lot for this practice, but I still think it's really nice to just sort of move through each part of the body, so not forgetting the wrists. And that's probably one place that I maybe have neglected in the past in my practice, and you really do start to feel it in the wrists when you forget about them too often. So just some circles with the wrists. Then we're going to make two fists with the hands. Bring the knuckles together in front of your chest and then slowly press the hands away from the body. You should feel a really, really nice stretch through the forearms here. You can close down the eyes, but just staying with that breath. We're moving really nice and slowly today. I like to bring it back in and press it back out, just really feeling that stretch. One more breath here. And then we'll bring the palms back to the knees. Take a couple of rolls of the shoulders, rolling them back, squeezing them together and dropping them down the spine. and then rolling them forward. So back the other way. And then we'll exhale, drop the shoulders down. You might like to take a couple of circles with the neck here, so rolling the head one way, back the other way. Noticing if you've got any tight places in the neck, working a little bit of energy into those places. And then bringing the head back to center, and we'll take a little twist from here. So let's take the right palm, we're going to bring it over to the left knee, and then walk the left hand behind you. So just on the left fingertips, we're going to inhale, get really nice and tall through the spine here. So imagining that nice long line from the top of the head right down to the tailbone. We're not collapsing forward, really nice and tall, opening through heart space. On an inhale, we lift. Exhale, we find that twist, twisting a little bit deeper with each exhale. Really nice for the spine, this one. Seeing if you can draw that left shoulder back behind you. Staying with the breath. And then we'll slowly come back to center. Take it to the other side. This time we'll take the left palm over to the right knee, and then we walk the right fingertips behind us. Find that length through the spine. On an inhale, we get really nice and tall, and exhale, we find our twist. Draw that right shoulder back behind you. Finding a little bit of space through the chest and the heart. Staying with the breath here. And then on an exhale, we'll melt it back to center. We're going to adjust the legs a little bit here. So from whatever comfortable seated position you're moving from, we're going to bring the left foot in towards us and then just stack the right in front of us. So we've got the 2 feet in front of us. So right foot's not stacked on left, it's just stacked in front of it. Both feet are still on the mat. We're going to find a little bit of a forward fold here. This can be a really nice stretch through the hips. So again, get really nice and tall through the spine. Notice how you feel in the hips here, seeing if you can keep both of those knees drawing down. And slowly we're going to walk the palms forward. Moving really slowly, we're still staying with the breath. You might come down onto the forearms. You can round through the head and the neck here. As you start to fold forward, you might not start to notice that the hips are starting to lift away from the mat. We're going to see if we can keep them drawing down, staying really nice and grounded. Those knees are drawing down towards the mat. And then coming up onto the fingertips. Stretching out through the spine, we're going to walk the hands inch by inch over to the right. Finding that breath here. And then exhale, we'll walk it back through center. Moving really nice and slowly, we walk the hands over to the left side. You should really start to feel that stretch through the right hip here. Should feel like a really nice hip opening, nice stretch through the glutes. Stay with the breath. And then on an exhale, we'll walk it back to center and then bring the hands back in towards you. And we'll change the direction of the feet or the placement of the feet. So we're going to bring the right foot in towards the body first. Let's stack the left foot in front of it, not on top of it. So as long as you've got the opposite foot in front this time. So again, get really nice and tall through the spine. We start to find our forward fold. Really slowly walking the hands forward, maybe coming down onto the forearms. Make sure you've got those hips grounded down. Knees are drawing down. So if you don't come as far into your forward fold and you've really got to press those hips down, you might just come to here. But just feeling this one out. Maybe closing down the eyes as you find the breath. And then coming back up onto the fingertips. This time we're going to walk the hands over to the left side. So just moving really slowly. Notice how you feel in the hips. Keep those knees drawn down towards the mat. And then on an exhale, we'll come back through center and take it to the other side. So walking those hands over to the right, you should really feel that stretch on the left hip this time. Find the breath. Nice big inhale and exhale. We'll come back to center, walk the hands back in towards the body. And then we'll bring the feet out in front of us. Take a couple of windscreen wipers here so you can lean back onto the hands and then just drop the knees one side, over to the other. Just stretching this one out here. And then we're slowly going to make our way into our malasana. So to get there, you might like to come to standing first. So once you're in standing, we'll find our forward fold. We'll walk the feet a little bit wider apart, so a little bit wider than hip distance apart. We're going to turn the toes out, heels come in, and then we're going to sink the hips back down. We're going to take our elbows to the insides of our knees, bring the palms together at heart space, and then press those knees open. We find our malasana or our yogi squat. Another really nice stretch through the hips and the groin here. Find the breath. Try and find that length through the spine again here. So again, imagining that nice long line from the top of the head right down to the tailbone. So rather than rounding forward here, we're really going to try and squeeze those shoulders back together. Nice and long through the head and the neck. Maybe closing down the eyes here. We find the breath. If you would like to take it a little bit deeper from here, I'm just going to plant my palms while I pick up the feet and bring the heels together. So just a little bit of space between the heels here. I've still got my toes out to the side. I'm going to wrap my arms around my knees and bring the hands together behind me. Then I'm really going to try and draw the forehead down towards the mat. I find that this one is a really nice release through the lower spine, and it's just going to make that stretch a little bit deeper here. The heels might start to lift a little bit off the mat. That's okay as long as this feels comfortable. Otherwise, you can just come back to your malasana. Find the breath. And then we'll unravel, bring the hands back in front of you. We're going to make our way into a wide-legged forward fold. So just planting the palms, we're going to step the feet out here. So we're wider than hip distance here, but still coming to a place that feels comfortable. So whatever works in your body, whatever feels most comfortable. And then just pressing the hips back. See if you can keep that nice length through the spine as you start to press your chest down towards the earth. So pressing into the outside edges of the feet here as we lower the chest. So really trying to hinge from the hips and flatten out through the spine. And then for our last breath, you can round through the back. Relax through the head and the neck, maybe bringing the top of the head down towards the earth, down towards your mat. Nice and strong through the legs here. So we've got a nice little micro bend through the knees. We're not locking the knees. Breathing into the backs of the legs. And then then slowly we're going to lift halfway. We're going to move through a couple of rounds of our Skandasana, a side lunge. So I'm just going to draw the heels in a little bit here and point the toes out at about a 45-degree angle. So you might need to adjust the distance between the legs for this one. But when we move, we're going to exhale, start to bend into that right knee. As I'm adjusting my foot, I need to adjust the distance between my feet a little bit here as well. So just heel toeing as you need to adjust. I'm going to draw those left toes up towards the sky, bring the palms together at the heart and press that right knee open just like we did in our Malasana before. Sending energy to the places in the body that feel like they need a little bit of energy here. I can really feel it through the inner part of this left leg. Staying with the breath. Again, we've got that nice length through the spine. On an inhale, we're going to come up through center, so bring the palms back to the floor. We lift back up into our wide-legged forward fold. We're going to take it to the other side. So again, turn those toes out. On an exhale, I'm going to bend into the left knee this time and start to draw those right toes up towards the sky. Again, just feel this one out for a moment. So I'm going to bring the palms to heart space. And with that left elbow, I'm just going to press that left knee open a little bit more. So it can really help if you've got some blocks here. If you're not dropping the hips as far down, it can be helpful to have the hands on blocks just to help you balance a little bit more as we work to drop the hips into our Skandasana. And then slowly we're going to make our way back up into center, and then we will move with the breath through our Skandasana. So coming back to center, on an exhale, we drop over to the right side, so bending through the right knee. We draw those left toes up towards the sky. Inhale, we come up through center, and exhale, bend into the left knee, right toes come up. We're going to move just like that for 2 more rounds. Inhale to center, exhale, we bend into the right knee, left toes come up. Inhale, we come up through center and we take it to the left side, bend into that left knee. Take a breath here. 1 more round. Inhale, we come up through center, exhale, bend into that right knee. And the last one, we come back up and through center and we bend into the left knee, right toes come up this time. Really nice moving stretch here. We'll come back up into center, walk the feet in a little bit here, so just heel toe, a little bit wider than hip distance again here as we find our Malasana again. So turn the toes out, draw the heels in a little bit as we sink the hips and we find our yogi squat. So pressing the knees open, palms come together at heart space. We close down the eyes and we begin to find the breath here. Noticing how you feel in the body. Taking a moment to check in again here. One more nice deep breath. Exhale, letting it go. And then we'll come back to seated. So I'm just going to drop my hips back onto my mat and send the legs out nice and long in front of me. And shuffle back a little bit as we find our seated forward fold. So check in with the hips again here. If you start to feel like those hips are rounding back and you've got that rounding through the spine, you might like to sit up onto a block or a cushion or just something to give you a little bit of, my pants are all puffy, just to give you a little bit of height, a little bit of space here. So finding that nice length through the spine, drop the shoulders away from the ears as we sort of try and round those hips forward. On an exhale, we're going to send the hands forward and round through the spine. See if you can keep that length through the spine for as long as you can, sending the chest forward. But when you get there, just rounding, relaxing through the head and the neck. Reaching down towards the toes. Finding the breath here. Breathing into the backs of the legs. Nice and active through the feet, so drawing the toes back towards you. You should feel a nice release through the back body here, so a nice release through the spine, the neck and shoulders. Again, close down the eyes and just really enjoy this moment of stillness. And again, remembering that this is exactly where you're meant to be right now. Letting go of anything that came before this practice. And letting go of anything that is coming after. Becoming really present here. And then we're slowly going to roll up through the spine, so starting at the base of the spine, at the tailbone, really slowly rolling up, so letting the head and the neck come up last. Just tracing the hands up the front of your legs. And we come back to seated. You might like to take a couple more windscreen wipers here, so bending the knees, leaning back a little bit, and then just dropping the legs one side, over to the other. Just some nice gentle movement. And then when you're ready, we're going to make our way into our tabletop to find our low lunge. So take your time to get there. We come onto the hands and the knees, stacking the shoulders above the wrists, the hip points above the knees. And we'll take a couple of rounds of cat-cow here just to bring a little bit more movement into the spine. So we'll draw the shoulders away from the ears, flatten out through the spine. We draw the belly button back towards the spine. On an inhale, we're going to curl the tailbone up, drop through the belly. We send the chest forward, squeeze those shoulder blades back, maybe looking up. And then exhale, we curl the tailbone under, around through the spine. Let the top of the head drop down towards your mat. And then just moving with the breath here. Inhale to our cow pose, exhale to cat pose. And I can never remember, I've said this before as well, I can never remember which one was cat and which one was cow. And then someone said to me, just think of cat as like one of those little black Halloween cats that have got that arch in their spine. And that's how I remember which one's cat and which one's cow. Inhale back to our cow pose, drop the belly. And exhale, curl the tailbone under, we round through the spine. We'll take one more round of breath here. And then make your way back to center, back to our tabletop. We're going to find our low lunge on the right side first. So again, you might like to bring the hands up onto some blocks to give you some space here, but you also don't need them. We're just going to walk the hands forward a couple of inches and step the right foot forward between the hands. So just feeling this one out for a moment. You can keep those left toes tucked under or untuck them. Again, whatever feels most comfortable. Find a little bit of space through that, through the chest. So we draw the shoulders back. And then we will tuck those left toes under. just because it's going to help support that left knee a little bit more. You also might like to double up the mat, so fold your mat over. We're going to inhale the hands up, check in with the lower back here, so we don't want to be crushing into the lower back, that real rounding. You kind of want to flatten out, so tuck the tailbone under a little bit more here. We reach the hands up towards the sky, inhale. On an exhale, we're going to cactus the arms into like a 90-degree angle. So inhale, we reach up towards the sky. Exhale, we find that nice opening through heart space. Cactus the arms. Inhale, we get nice and long, reaching up towards the sky. And exhale, cactus the arms, draw those shoulders back together. Inhale, we reach up. And exhale, we cactus the arms. You might even like to try lifting that left knee away from the mat here. Finding that strength through the legs. Or we stay in our low lunge. Let's bring the hands back to the mat. We'll find our half splits for a moment here. So keep those left toes tucked under. We're going to start to draw the hips back. And then rolling over that right heel, we draw the right toes back towards the chest. Again, nice length through the spine here. Breathing into the back of that right leg. You can keep a nice little bend through the knee here. And then we'll bring it back into our low lunge, so walking the hands forward. We'll take it to the other side, so let's bring the right knee back to meet the left. Might like to move the hips over to the right, over to the left. And then when you're ready, we'll step the left hand forward between the hands, find your low lunge. So you can keep those left toes tucked under here. Left toes tucked under or untucked, whatever feels most comfortable. We are going to tuck them under in a moment. Finding the breath. Finding heart space, draw those shoulders away from the ears and squeeze them together. And then we'll tuck those right toes under if you don't have them tucked already. On an inhale, we're going to reach up towards the sky. Again, check in with the lower back here. Make sure you're not crushing into it, so you might need to press out of that bend a little bit. Find the breath. Inhale, we reach up towards the sky, nice and long through the spine. On an exhale, we cactus the arms into a 90-degree angle. Squeeze the shoulders back together. Inhale, we get nice and tall through the arms. Exhale, we bend through the elbows, squeeze the shoulders back. One more inhale, we get nice and long through the arms. And exhale, we bend through the elbows. And you can stay here for a breath, or you might like to try lifting that right knee away from your mat. Finding your high lunge here. Got a little bit of shake going on through the legs. And then we'll drop the knee back down if you've got it lifted. Bring the hands back to the mat as we find our half split. So we've got those right toes tucked under. We're going to draw the hips back, roll over that left heel this time, and then draw the left toes towards the chest, chest towards the toes. Find the breath here. Again, you might like to bring that little bend into the left knee. And then we'll walk the hands forward, bring the bend back into that left knee. We'll make our way back to our tabletop. You might like to take another couple of rounds of cat-cow here. Otherwise, we're going to make our way back through seated. So crossing one ankle over the other, one heel over the other, one foot over the other. I don't really know what the best word to use there is. We'll come back through seated and make our way all the way back to lie down. Keeping the knees bent when you get there. Taking a moment to find a place that feels comfortable for you. You might like to rest the hands on the belly, maybe one hand on heart space, one hand on the belly, or just send them out to the side. We'll take another couple of windscreen wipers here, so dropping the knees down to one side, over to the other. Just moving back and forth here. ready, bring the knees back to center. We'll find our Supta Baddha Konasana or our reclined butterfly. So bring the soles of the feet together here, and we're just going to drop the knees out to either side. Again, just bringing the hands to whatever feels right for you. So I've got one hand on heart space, one hand on my belly today. But if you're feeling a little bit more open, you might like to send the hands out to the side. Start to close down the eyes here. Find another moment of stillness. Coming back to the breath. Inhaling, feeling the body expand. And exhale, let the body get heavy. Feel yourself melting down towards your mat. You might like to stay here in your reclined butterfly for a moment longer. If there's any other postures that you'd like to practice, if you'd like to continue your practice, then I encourage you to do so. Otherwise, I'm going to guide you into your Shavasana, and we'll begin to close our practice. So we'll bring the hands to either side with the palms facing up, and slowly send the legs out long. Again, take a moment to get out any little wiggles that you need to so that you can really find stillness. Soak up all that goodness from your Shavasana. Letting the breath return to normal. Feeling your body starting to get really heavy. Sinking down to the earth beneath you. Maybe just noticing how you feel here, not judging anything, just noticing and then letting it go. And checking in with the mind as well, noticing and then letting it go. And feel free to stay here in your Shavasana. I think a really nice long Shavasana is really great after one of these practices. Otherwise, when you're ready, we'll start to wiggle our fingers and our toes. Rock the head from side to side. Turning onto one side. When you're ready, bending the knees. Making this a really slow transition. We'll make our way back up to seated. Again, find a seated position that feels best for you, that feels most comfortable for you. Closing down the eyes, nice and tall through the spine. We'll take one last nice deep breath together. So on an inhale, bring the hands up and overhead. Palms come together. We exhale, bringing the hands down to heart space. We bow through the head and the neck. The light in me recognizes and honors the light in you. Namaste.